Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. We are playing some Final Fantasy 1 Dawn of Souls, because I just really like Final Fantasy. I'm not streaming this because right now YouTube is down, I guess. It's having a lot of trouble. I can't even sign in. So I'll just record it now. Maybe I can upload it once it's done. Either way, it'll be there. Yeah. I got an Oculus Quest. Not this last week, a couple weeks ago. I don't think I mentioned it. For those that don't know, Oculus recently came out with two new VR headsets. One was the Rift S, which is just basically just an upgrade, more or less, to the Rift. And then they also came out with the Quest, which is more or less, well, definitely more. It's an upgrade to the Oculus Go, I suppose. But both of these new headsets have inside-out tracking, meaning you don't have to set up sensors at all anymore. You just put on the headset wherever you are and you just go. Because all the tracking sensors are in the headset itself, and so they look out at the controllers and stuff, and that's what they track. Which is very nice. Very nice. That alone is just a big headache reducer. Compared to it feels like 1.5 generation VR. It's great. The Quest, however, goes a little further in differences because you don't need a computer either. It is a standalone headset, and it runs full VR titles. So this is not like mobile VR or anything like that. It has the controllers, it's got the tracking, and you can play Super Hot VR, you can play Beat Saber, you can play Robo Recall. They've got a new Star Wars thing on there that's really cool. This is like full VR. It's not as powerful. It doesn't, it's not as high fidelity. But this is like mainstream ready VR. Anybody can buy it. You don't have to have any sort of computer or anything like that. You don't have to set up any sensors or any bullshit. Wherever you are, you just put on the headset and just start playing. It's incredible. I mean, for like technologically, it is just insane. It's probably going to be a pretty big hit. Right now, it's like $400 for the 64 gig model. Come Christmas, if they have some sort of deal or bundle or something like that, it could be a pretty big smash hit. Because it works, man. It works. The tracking is not as robust as like the original Rift or the Vive, especially on the Quest compared to the Rift S. You do have like a blind spot behind you. You don't often have your controllers behind you, but it can occasionally happen. And also, if you have your controllers down at like your hips, like up against your body, I've noticed it sort of loses it there as well. But other than that, it's just amazing that it actually works as well as it does. And so I've been playing some Beat Saber every day. At launch, they did not have support for custom songs, which was pretty lame. But of course, modders came in, and now there is custom song support, and it's just awesome. It's just awesome. So I could have gone with the Rift S, because I certainly have, you know, a powerful enough computer, but just, you know, the capability to just like literally go outside on like my deck and play Beat Saber is just awesome. The outdoor stuff, it has to sort of be the right light levels. It has to be pretty cloudy for it to really work. But I tried it out yesterday, and I was playing some Beat Saber on my deck, and it was just good. It was just good. And you can take it, you know, anywhere. You can take it to other people's houses. You don't have to lug a computer around. You can just, my gaming room slash studio is not that big. And so if I wanted a bigger area to play something, I'd have to take my whole computer, shut it all down, take it into another room, hook it all up, blah, blah, blah. Whereas I can just grab the Quest and the two controllers and boom. It's just great. So I can definitely imagine getting a couple of them as gifts this Christmas. And I would recommend it to you. Yeah, so this week on the Exploring series, we released a video on the Fifth Church, which, if you recall, I hated. I hated that video. I mean, it performed fine, I guess. It's at like 100,000 or something. People didn't seem to hate it. But, you know, what people hate and what people, you know, just are like, okay, that was fine. Like, that's the thing. Like, I might hate it. Other people might just be, okay, that was fine. And that might be good enough. But what you really want is for people to really enjoy it. And that's not... I don't think that's what happened. So... whatever. I'm moving on. So this week I worked on a video on SCP-3003, which is a weird alien planet full of bug people. I thought it turned out decently. And the plan was that I was going to finish my reading video by Friday in advance, so that I could take this whole week off, including, you know, yesterday and today, and just do nothing. That was the plan. What actually happened is I'm like a third of the way done with it. So that's a bit of a bummer, but either way, that's still far ahead of where I normally would be, and I don't think the rest of it is gonna be that tricky. So hopefully I can just power it through and then take a break. Yeah, not much else to say. We hit we're at 325,000 subscribers, give or take, which is pretty cool. We're in a bit of a lull, I would say, as far as like, I'm not having anything like explode in views right now, so it's steady. It's steady, and it's, you know, it's at its low point for the year, we'll say, but still, this being my low point for this year is higher than any point last year. So that's pretty good. Overall, we're on a big improvement. But I guess that's all there is to say about the Exploring series. This week on this channel, we had, of course, the end of Mystic Quest. We had the start of Final Fantasy Tactics. We had some more Fell Seal, which could finish this week. I'm not exactly sure. And I had forgotten. I completely blanked on it. I had said that I would have to resort to doing Metroid Prime. But I forgot I did not do Super Metroid yet. So probably after Fell Seal will be Super Metroid. Which is a game familiar to a lot of people. I don't know how interesting it'll be to just watch me play through it, but be that as it may, it's got to get uploaded. That's pretty much it then until the end of June when we have the Sinking City. But next Sunday is the start, basically, of E3. It's the first E3 conference. That's very exciting. That does not affect this week, but the following week, I'll be able to put out a big reaction discussion of E3. I know they said... I'm pretty sure they said PS5 has, like, no presence this year. I don't know if I've heard anything from Microsoft about their plans for the next console as far as E3 is related. Honestly, I don't... Well, they did announce that, like, Xbox, like, Games on Demand or something like that is going to be cross-compatible with PC. So you'll be able to just play some Xbox games on your PC. And at that point, it's like, God, I'm not sure what Microsoft can do to make purchasing the next Xbox compelling. Like, I just think about how few times I've booted up my Xbox One. And they also were talking about, like, teaming up with Sony in some sort of cloud gaming capacity. I don't know what that's about, but you know, Google has Stadia in the works, and that could be a very big deal if it ends up working. The problem with Stadia, of course, is the average internet connection of Americans. You know, if Google had been able to achieve its master plan of putting Google Fiber everywhere, it might be a different story, but you know, the telecommunications industry is ruthless. So yeah, I don't know, cloud gaming, it doesn't really appeal to me in any way, because the main appeal of something like Stadia is you don't have to buy any expensive hardware, which I'm fine buying expensive hardware. I get it though. So yeah, I don't know. Sony, I mean, the reason I would buy a PS5 is because Sony in general has some, like, just amazing exclusive games. And sure, I wish they were all on PC. Like Sekiro, if that had been a PS4 exclusive, I would have bought it on PS4. But since it was on PC, it's a no-brainer. The only reason I buy any game on PS4 is because it's only on PS4. And I assume that'll be the case for PS5. But with Microsoft, any game that they might have that would be exclusive that I might be interested in is also on PC. And so it never comes to the, you know, and maybe they're fine with that, but I don't know. You know, Nintendo turned things around. They went from the Wii U to the Switch, and everybody rejoiced, and it's possible Microsoft could do something to that effect, but I don't know. If they just release the Xbox One 2, and it's just like a hardware upgrade, and that's it, I have no interest in it. I'm not, it's like the first time I'm not gonna buy a new console since ever. Since like the Dreamcast, I guess. That was the last console I didn't buy. Either way though, Sony is not having a conference this year, like, at all. So that's kind of a bummer, because they usually show off some interesting. I'd love to see more of Ghosts of Tsukushima or whatever, but we probably will see it in some way. You know, the conferences are always sort of corny and cringy and just terrible, but it's just, that's kind of why I love them. It's just such like a yearly tradition of cringeness. It's just enjoyable. So it's sad to see less and less conferences happening. I mean, probably because they realize it's really not worth it. You know, in this day and age of the internet and leaks, and just the speed at which, you know, all this information can transmit across the interwebs into people's brains, having a big conference and renting out the conference hall and doing all this production just for people to shit on it is really probably not worth the money, when they could just like release a trailer, you know, and all the gaming sites are be like, hey, look at this trailer, and everybody's like, oh, I saw that trailer, and that's it. I don't know how much they benefit from having this big topic of conversation. I mean, it's advertising, I suppose, but I don't know, you're not like really gaining like market share. I don't know, maybe, I don't know anything about it, but there must be a reason why Sony is opting out entirely of doing a conference. Probably because they have so little new stuff to show. They're not ready to show off the PS5. So next year they'll probably have a conference and it'll be a big deal. But this year is probably just not worth it. I guess having a bad conference is worse than having no conference. I'm excited though. I'm excited. You know, everyone of course is speculating about Bethesda, hoping to see footage of Elder Scrolls 6. I would bet $100 that you will not see a single mention of Elder Scrolls 6. That would be my betting money, if I were that kind of man. Elder Scrolls 6 is not coming out for like 2 or 3 years. And they probably have very little to show of it. I mean, they have some, but it's probably rough. And there's just no point yet, especially when we haven't even seen a second of gameplay of Starfield, which is their next game. And I'm sure that's going to be a big topic of their conference. I would hope so. But Bethesda's been in rough water recently, and so they definitely need to do some good work at their conference to restore some faith. I'm interested in what they've got to say. You know, I would very much like Starfield to be awesome. because honestly, I would rather have Starfield than Fallout 5. My hope is that with like a new IP entirely, they can really just flex some muscles and maybe show off something really interesting. They have not proven themselves with the Fallout series as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, we'll see. That's a topic for a couple of weeks from now. Yeah. As far as board games are concerned, I'm still going through the Arkham Horror Forgotten Age campaign, which has been interesting. It's just crazy, like how many different things they can do and just stories they can sort of tell with just cards, with just these same little cards and these sort of same mechanics, and the way they can just sort of put minor differences in. You cannot learn this spell, no. I also spent some time going through my Netrunner stuff, putting together a bunch of starter decks. I'm planning to take Netrunner to Gen Con this year, so I'm itching to play. And you know, there's going to be a bunch of us going in and out of events and things like that. We might not always have a decent sized group sitting around waiting to play something, so it's possible we could get some Netrunner in. That would be very nice. It's just a great game. I think it's the best card game ever made as far as I'm concerned. And I learned, because I had been out of the loop for a little while, I learned that after Fantasy Flight canceled Netrunner because they had lost the license, a group of fans, I guess, came together and they started this organization called like Nisei that is all about like picking up where Fantasy Flight left off and keeping Netrunner going. And so they plan to like continue doing like tournaments, organized tournaments that Fantasy Flight used to do and a lot of people were big fans of. So they plan to keep putting on tournaments with like prizes and stuff. And they also are making new cards. They're making new cards and like testing them out, balancing them out, and putting together like new expansions, and then putting them on like drive-through cards or whatever, so that people can just order a set. And they changed like the logos and like the little symbols on a lot of things to avoid any sort of infringement, obviously. But they all look pretty legit and they would certainly fit in, and they're all like, you know, it's just new cards. They've got, it's not like shitty amateur DeviantArt artwork. Not to shit on DeviantArt, I use it a lot for a lot of videos, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's not like amateur shitty art. It all looks like it would fit in a Netrunner deck. So that's pretty incredible altogether. The only problem is it's great that we're getting more new cards. The problem is no one is reprinting the old cards. Like, that has completely been put to a stop. So there's a whole bunch of expansions and data packs and stuff that I don't have. And to buy them would cost like $300 per expansion, because these are completely out of print. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. you know, it's a great game, and clearly there are a lot of fans that want it to just keep going in some form. Roll Mangg. So God, this Call of Cthulhu campaign is just wild. So last time we had met with that farmer, right? And we had found those strange stones, and he had gotten attacked by some Byaki, as that's what I saw in my vision. And so Dick Gaines had managed to kill the two Byaki with his elephant gun. And so then the plan was like, we needed to go get a truck so that we could take one of these Byaki corpses back home and all of these big stones. And these are like 9 foot tall, 9 foot long obsidian stones. So they're very lengthy, very heavy. And we couldn't take them back immediately. So we went back to London. We're like, okay, let's get a truck. And we're gonna need some men to like help us haul this and stuff. So let's get some homeless people. And let's get this production going. And then I think the conversation sort of changed. We had decided that these stones can apparently summon Byaki. Like, that's, you know, that seems logical. We have this cause and effect that we've witnessed. This farmer, like, touched these stones, and then these two Byaki came down to eat them. It makes sense. We want to, well, I want to kill all these Byaki because they are responsible for killing Big Gaines, my grandson. So, let's just try and smash all these stones, and then that'll bring down the Byaki, and then we'll just kill them all with our elephant guns. So, we got 2 more elephant guns. So our whole party now is equipped with elephant guns. And let's equip all the homeless people with hammers instead of guns, so that they can just start hammering on these stones, which will really piss off the Byaki. And the homeless people will basically be bait. So they'll be the target of the Byaki's anger, and then we'll just be there to shoot them all. So that was the plan. And that's pretty much what happened. Well, I mean, we got that whole plan set up. We had all the homeless people. We had like 4 of them. They had sledgehammers. We had our elephant guns. We had hired a photographer to not only take a picture of the Byaki corpse, but also to take a picture of our glorious standoff with the Byaki, shooting them down one by one. Right before we left, we got a letter from some guy. His name was like Cresty or something like that. Prentice, I don't know. And he told us that Lawrence Bacon, who was a subject of interest for us, a person of interest, he was planning to leave his sort of hidey hole, his building that he never left. He was planning to leave it and go somewhere on the 27th. And he urged us. He had never met us. We had no idea who this guy was, but he urged us to follow him and stop him because he was up to some bad shit. Now, for the record, we did want to do this. We did want to stop this Lawrence Bacon guy. He's clearly we knew that he had like turned some dude to dust at one point. He was bad. But that was in like a few days from now. And we were planning to go handle these stones and stuff like that. We had hoped that we would be back in time. And so I think Ziggy gave us that letter at that time because he had hoped that we would just stay and be like, okay, let's wait, let's do this Lawrence Bacon thing, and then we'll go deal with the stones. But we were very much ready to handle all these stones and this Byakhee thing. So we had no plans of waiting. So we're like, you know, we'll just go handle the stones. We'll be back. So we went up north, back to the farm. We go up the hill. Lo and behold, we discover the stones are no longer there. Oh. Now, in another situation, and this might have been Ziggy's plan, I don't know. In another situation, we might have just said, fuck it. Someone took the stones, we have no idea where. Let's go back, let's deal with this Lawrence Bacon thing. But, haha, he had given us a spell. Remember? He had given Dick Gaines a spell from reading that book that allowed him to focus on something and get a vision of it. It cost a small amount of sanity, but still, for solving a mystery, it's really good. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to use that vision spell and I'm going to focus on those stones. And so I got a vision of the stones in a truck on like a highway. Like, oh damn. And I couldn't make out like the highway sign of like the nearest town. He told me like, okay, if you want to push yourself, if you really want to focus, you might be able to make it out, but it would cost probably more sanity. I didn't really want to lose more sanity, but this seemed pretty damn important. So I focused and I found out it was like a town in Scotland. It's like, oh shit, we gotta go to Scotland right now. The stones are like, not only were they in a truck, they were as part of like a truck as part of a convoy. So there were multiple trucks. This was coordinated. Somebody was up to no good with these stones. So we had to hurry. We had to haul some ass up to Scotland. And so we had debated, like, going to, like, a private... Because, like, Dick Gaines, of course, has a private airplane. But we had decided it would just take too long. So we were just going to take our truck and just haul ass up to Scotland. And we, you know, the photographer had taken pictures of the Byakhee corpse, and we of course wanted him with us. Because, you know, this was going to be a big confrontation with these guys and the stones and all that. So we wanted him to take pictures, but it was just too risky. He had the only real evidence that we had killed the strange Byakhee creature, and so we needed him to just go back to London and just deal with the Byakhee pictures. So the three of us, a bunch of homeless people, we went on our way up to Scotland in a truck. We drive for a while, and then we run out of gas. And there's like no gas station at this town that we're in or something like that. So we just get on a train. We get on a train, we continue on to Scotland. We get off the train, but we're still a ways away from this town that we need to get to. So I think we like rent a car. It's basically too small for us. So someone has to like sit in the trunk. One of the homeless guys. And we spent the whole session just like chasing after this convoy, asking in every town if they had seen this convoy. And basically we went to like the farthest like northern edge of Scotland. And eventually I had to use another vision to like really narrow down where these stones exactly were. And so we had found that they had placed these stones around like this small lake, this narrow lake. And I had a vision of like some like ethereal city floating down from the heavens towards this lake. And there was also like a giant sack monster, something like that. And so, you know, something very bad was going to happen here, apparently, related to these stones. I didn't tell the others about the city and the sack monster, but I told them that, like, you know, these stones are going to be the cause of something bad. We need to get rid of them. So we set the homeless boys on the stone, and we just had them go at it with their sledgehammers. Go to town. And they like barely put a dent in them. It's like, well, that's rough. That's pretty rough. So then I'm like, okay, let me see if I just can put a little hole in it with the elephant gun. And then maybe we can get like a chisel or a sharp rock and just sort of hammer it in until the whole thing cracks. So I shoot at the stone with the elephant gun, and it goes awry. It ricochets off the stone, and the bullet sinks itself into Studs' gut. He doesn't die. He takes like more than half of his health, but he doesn't die. And so it's just sort of, oops. So then we try to like knock the stone over and like throw it in the lake, but it's really dug in there. So what we need is like a truck to pull it out. I thought about just like ramming our car into it. Thomas thought that that would just destroy our car. So we need rope. So we head back to town. We have to call a doctor for Studs, who patches him up, and he's like gonna be in bed for like a week. Big baby. And that's pretty much where we left off. Studs is hospitalized, or, you know, bedridden, because of an elephant bullet to his gut. And we are going to find a rope to tie around this stone and yank it out of the ground and throw it into the lake. Hopefully before this big sack monster appears, in which case we're really fucked. the whole session was really just pretty wild. None of like, it seems these stones seem really important to like the overall plot of these, whatever these bad guys are up to. Like, they're planning to summon giant sack monsters, and like, it's got to be important. But at the same time, it's like, what are we doing? Driving this car full of homeless people with sledgehammers up to the northern part of Scotland. You know, there's a guy back in London that can turn people to dust. And so at some point it became quite clear that we were going to miss this this deadline. And we were not going to be there to chase after Lawrence Bacon. So of course we called our private eye, who has been doing basically everything for us. Because, you know, when you have a lot of money, that's how it works. And so we called up the private eye while we were in Scotland. And we told him, look, Lawrence Bacon is going to be leaving his house on this day. We're not going to be there, but we're paying you to follow him, and if need be, to kill him. I offered, you know, a crazy amount of money, and he agreed. So we'll get to find out eventually how that all went down. I'm sure Ziggy planned on us being there for when Lawrence Bacon leaves his house, but yeah, the situation did not roll that way. It's been a pretty wild campaign. But it's been pretty fun. It's been pretty fun. Yeah, I feel at any moment the Gaines family is probably going to be completely wiped out. And you hit a certain point in any campaign where a TPK will end the campaign. Call of Cthulhu especially is tricky because the whole, like, mystery is based on character information. You know, what the characters know and what their motivations are, and, you know, they're in too deep to back out now, so they gotta just keep going to solve this mystery. And so when you wipe out an entire party, there's, like, you can't just throw someone else into this meat grinder, because they would have no reason to, I mean, it's possible for a new group to come in and be like, hey, this is interesting. But especially on these lengthy campaigns where there's like a timetable and it's just, there's so many little esoteric things that nobody would know about unless they've been there for a while. Like, it's difficult. That's why, you know, if you lose characters one by one, then it's just, okay, you're bringing in a new guy, everyone else brings him up to speed, and okay, now he's in this mystery. But yeah, to TPK, that's a real rough situation. So this mystery is about the Gaines family now. 3 generations of the Gaines family. We'll see what happens to them. It's possible that only one will die and then someone else will get cycled in and so on, but the further along you get in a Call of Cthulhu campaign, the bigger the threats become. I mean, that's just, that goes for almost every campaign and every story. The bigger the threats become. But when, you know, Call of Cthulhu, when it hits hard, it hits pretty damn hard. And you're going to start dealing with some, like the sack monster. The chances of us killing the sack monster and only one of us dying is pretty slim. But we'll see how it goes. I guess that's sort of about it. Not a whole lot else to say. I will take a moment. I'm sure you're already apprised of it, but I've been watching the Chernobyl miniseries. And if you are not watching it, there is something wrong with you. It's already like the highest rated television show on IMDb, which doesn't say a whole lot, but still, it's very good. It's very well made. And for me particularly, Chernobyl, the whole Chernobyl incident is super fascinating. I had done an exploring series video on it, and that I want to just delete that video now, because it's just like, why would anyone watch that fucking shitty little video when there's something like this out there? This amazing, accurate, in-depth miniseries. But yeah, I had made that video because I was really interested in the Chernobyl incident, and so this miniseries is right up my alley. And at some point in my life, I'd really like to visit Pripyat, because I think it's such an interesting place on this earth. Really unique. So they've just done a great job of telling this, like, almost too crazy to believe that it's real story. The acting is really great. Jared Harris is awesome. And their attention to detail that they, the work they put into this, it's just awesome. So it's a 5-part miniseries. The final part airs tomorrow. It's really not a big commitment of time, but I would highly recommend it, and I'm sure many other people would as well. It's just really fascinating. I guess that's about it. So check out the SCP-3003 video tomorrow. We got some more Fell Seal and some Final Fantasy Tactics, and that'll about do us. So my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.